Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, Patronosaurus Reads. I'm Katie, aka Patronosaurus, and I read. And today I'm coming at you with an original book tag. I looked it up, it doesn't look like anybody's made a Lizzo book tag before, and I love Lizzo, so I decided I was gonna do it. So I've chosen some Lizzo songs, not her entire discography, because that would be a lot, but I have eight songs that have prompts. So let's just get into it. Okay, the first prompt is "'Cause I Love You," a book that makes you emotional, even if it's not necessarily a sad book. Like a book that makes you cry just because you love it so much, you know? And for that, I have chosen Nice Try, Jane Sinner by Leanne Ohlke. I talked about this before in my top favorite books of all time, which I will link down below. This book is about Jane Sinner. Her name's on the cover. Very easy to remember who the main character is. And she, for reasons that are given to you throughout the course of the story, kind of had to drop out of her normal high school. So to finish out her high school diploma, she is taking some dual credit classes at the local community college, and she manages to move out of her parents' house and move into sort of a Big Brother reality show type thing on her college's campus that they're having on their community college YouTube page or whatever. And so it follows her and her journey through that, and it's very funny and very silly, but also at some points very serious. And I remember finishing reading this and thinking that my personal mental health journey has never been represented more accurately than in a book. So that's why this book makes me cry, because it's me and it gets me. I'm crying because I love this book. The next prompt is Like a Girl, a book featuring a badass female character. And for that, I've chosen a book that I finished very recently. If you want to hear my full thoughts, then stay tuned for my October wrap-up. But that is Now Entering Adamsville by Francesca Zappia. The main character is named Zora. Yeah, Zora. For a second I was like, is it Nora? But it's not. It's Zora. And she lives in this tiny town called Adamsville that's sort of a tourist trap because it has a lot of supposedly haunted locations, except, surprise, they are haunted and Zora can see the ghosts, but the ghosts are not what cause a lot of the supernatural happenings. There are other paranormal things that are not quite so harmless as the ghosts. So Zora has to fight them while being the odd one out in her town. Everybody thinks that she committed a crime that was actually committed by one of the other supernatural creatures, but because nobody else can see them and she was at the scene of the crime, she had to take the blame for it. So everybody in the town hates her. Her family has a lot of bad history. So she's kind of fighting against the stereotypes against her and her family while she's trying to protect this town that, despite oftentimes treating her like literal garbage, she absolutely loves. And I think that takes so much strength to not put up her middle finger to everyone in the town and just walk away. And she loves those people and she loves that place too much to do that. And I think that's awesome and totally badass. And of course, I couldn't make a book tag with Like a Girl and not include boys. So the prompt for boys is a book with a fantastic male character. So for that, I've chosen Darlington from Ninth House, because I also read Ninth House. I was like going crazy with the new releases this month. It was great. Darlington is like, okay, this is how I described him to my best friend in order to get her to read Ninth House, because she was nervous about the trigger warnings, which I was as well. Full list of trigger warnings is on somebody's review on Goodreads. I will link it down below to make sure that you can see it. And Darlington is like if Alex Claremont Diaz from Red, White, and Royal Blue was obsessed with the occult. Like, he has a lot of the same like general charisma and just lovability, but then sometimes his snark will like jump out. He's incredibly intelligent, incredibly kind. I love Darlington so much, you guys. If you've read Ninth House, like, slide into my DMs so we can scream about it, because I know that I'm one of the earliest people to read it. I was lucky enough to be first on my library's hold list. But that means no one else has read it, and I can't like talk to anyone about this book, and I'm screaming into the abyss, especially about Darlington because I love him. I'm gonna stop talking about him and this book now, because otherwise that will just be the rest of the video and you guys will never see the rest of the tag. Alright, the prompt for Tempo is a thick bitch. A book that intimidates you because of its size. For that, I've chosen Priory of the Orange Tree. I have the dust jacket off because I am currently reading this right now. I'm like 241 pages in. It was my goal on Friday to get to page 300, and as of right now when I'm filming this, it is now Sunday, and I just like didn't pick up this book this weekend at all. It's taking me a long time. This book requires a lot of mental energy. It's not necessarily just because it's long, it's also just the writing style, and because it's this really intense high fantasy world. This book takes a lot of mental energy, and I'm just like not always here for that. Really liking it so far, but it's so much. It really intimidates me at the thought of like trying to finish this, especially the end of the year. I'm planning on doing lots of readathons and stuff, and because I've already started this, it can't count for any of the readathons. So now I'm like, well, should I budget my time accurately? Like, it's a whole thing. Yeah, so Priory of the Orange Tree does, in fact, intimidate me. So I lounge around in my lingerie. I wanna be prepared for you just in case. So I lounge around in my lingerie. You better come my way. For Lingerie, the prompt is to choose a book that is beautiful under the dust jacket. And I mean, this book is beautiful all over, this specific edition. The original cover for The Diviners by Libba Bray. So everyone talks about like how beautiful this cover art is, which it absolutely is. But like, here she is naked in her lingerie with just the cover. Like, this is so like kind of the starburst design, but like also sort of rosy. Like, this is so pretty. And I'm gonna join the chorus of people who ceaselessly complain about them changing the way that they did the cover art, because each cover has gotten progressively uglier, and I'm just like, why are we doing this? Like, please stop. So yeah, it's very beautiful underneath the cover. I'm also such a fan of books that are pretty when they're naked, like the hardbacks. That's the first thing I do when I buy a new hardcover. I like look under the dust jacket. I'm like, is there anything fun on here? Is it pretty? Is it cute? A lot of times the answer is no, but then sometimes you get something like this, and I get really happy. Okay, so I had to include Water Me because it is my personal favorite Lizzo song. This song, so good. And the prompt for this one is to choose a book that fills your soul. And for that, I've chosen Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I know I just mentioned this earlier when I was talking about Darlington, but I'm gonna talk about this book again because I love it. If you have been sleeping under a rock and you don't know what this book is, it's about Alex and Henry. Alex is the first son of the United States. Henry is the Prince of England. They hate each other, except that an international incident happens where they have to pretend to be friends in order to smooth the diplomatic waters. And then they become friends. And then they become more than friends. And this book is so perfect. It is absolutely full of queer love and hope and joy, and it's exactly the kind of story that we need right now in like our horrific political climate, and terrifying things happen all the time. Like, this book is everything and absolutely fills my soul. All right, for Truth Hurts, you know, the most iconic Lizzo song, like everybody knows the song. The prompt is to choose a book that was great until it had to be great, aka a book that was really good until you hit the ending and the ending just ruined it. So for me, I'm choosing The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, which I also read this month. This is how I do book tags, you guys. Like, I just pick books that I've read in like the last 3 weeks. Like, anything from before that just doesn't exist, so sorry. The Turn of the Key is about this nanny who gets a job at this really rich couple's house, like up in the middle of nowhere in like Scotland or northern England or something. I don't know where it is, like somewhere. So she's gonna be a live-in nanny there, and they have a smart house, so everything is controlled by like apps that you have on your phone, and you can like control different things about the house and locking the doors and all kinds of things. And weird things start happening with the smart house, like, and there are noises that the nanny hears in the middle of the night that no one can explain. She's, you know, just left alone there, just her and the kids that she's taking care of. And I was so in love with it. I was like, this is the perfect Halloween read. It's so creepy. It's heavily inspired by The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. Is that who wrote that? It's like a classic kind of horror ghost story. That original story is about a governess who is taking care of these kids and keeps on like having weird experiences. It was so good until literally like the last 10 pages. And I mean, it's a mystery. And then like the actual reveal was so disappointing. It was like, I don't know, I really hated it. It was on its way to being a 5-star read, and I bumped it down to 3 just because of like what happens in the last few pages. It was so frustrating. I was so mad. So yeah, that was a book that was great until it had to be great, and then it failed me. All right, and the final prompt is for Good as Hell, which is just a book that was good as hell. So for me, that's Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This book follows Victor and Eli, who were friends and roommates in college, and they were kind of obsessed with figuring out what creates EOs, people with extraordinary abilities. So they're like super smart, and they're doing all these experiments on themselves to try to become EOs. And then the story jumps forward 10 years, and Victor has just gotten out of prison, and he's on the hunt for Eli. And it like goes back and forth between the past and the present. So you're like putting the story together as you go, which is, first of all, like that's one of the reasons I like this book. I really like that narrative structure. 2, everyone's kind of a bad guy. Like, everyone is morally gray. And I love that in a book too. Like, no one is a good guy. Everyone has like shady stuff in their past. Everyone does shady stuff over the course of this book. I think that's like the best part of this book for me, is I love a good morally gray character, and V.E. Schwab wrote them perfectly in this book. Like, it's so tasty. So yeah, this book is good as hell. All right, friends, that's my Lizzo tag. I know I didn't include every single Lizzo song because I felt like that would make a very long video. I don't know. I kind of chose my personal favorites and ones that I could really easily think of prompts for books. If you want to do this and include a song that I didn't use, feel free. Like, that would be so fun for us to kind of, as a community, build this tag together. Lizzo's such a positive force and just radiates good vibes. It's not a vibe check where like she beats you over the head. It's a vibe check as in like she gives you a hug, but with her music. I wanted to make this tag to just kind of like bring her a little bit into the bookish world. I don't know if a lot of other people on BookTube are into her, but I really love her. So yeah, that's it. If you decide to make this tag video, like, please leave the link for your video in the comments. I would absolutely love to see it and support you and cheer you on. If you want to follow me on any of my social media, the links for all of that will be down below in the description box, as well as all the questions for the tag, of course. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe. That's what YouTubers say. I'll see you guys next time.